Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Stallard. Thank you for joining us today for hands-on on the Epson F6370. I'm also joined with Carly Parcelt here today. She's going to help me talk about the Epson. We're going to do some demos today. We want you to ask questions. As with any of our webinars, we want to hear what you have to say and go through some things and answer. We're going to do some demos, talk about some substrates and all that good stuff. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Just a few house cleaning tips, tricks here, anything like that. So off here, get familiar with the pane in GoToMeeting or GoToWebinar.
Yep.
So if you're having any audio issues or you have questions, raise your hand. Sometimes if the audio is not working, you just need to shut it off, come back in. If you're using computer audio and you can't get it to work, try just dialing in. You'll have the dial number and the access code. If none of that works, I'm sorry, but you can download it after the fact and re-watch it. It'll be just as entertaining and educational.
It'll actually be sent to you too. I mean,
Yes,
if you registered, you'll get an email with the link so you can watch it back.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Again, we're not going to have any polls today. I don't have any poll questions for you, but just if you have questions, make sure you go through. George, you can click through that for me again.
No, I was just going to let them know, Steve, too. This is if they are watching on a mobile device. We will be jumping back and forth between a PowerPoint. Steve's got a couple other things, and we may have some other things to show. So on a mobile device, you're going to swipe up and down. On a computer, you'll just see that screen pop in and out. But you can adjust that gray bar to whatever size you'd like for whichever screen you want to look at.
Yep. And then ask the questions in the questions section. We have people, again, here behind the scenes that will answer your questions. And again, we'll have them announced live as well. So Steve and I can answer those live for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, here, just what we're going to cover, we're going to talk about sublimation and why so many folks will upgrade or purchase the F6370, the 44-inch, and what that does for your capability in your sublimation if you're doing small format today. We're going to talk about a few substrates that we sell that pair really well with the large format. So we're going to talk about that and just go through a few things. All right, so one thing I just want to start out, just in case some of you are new to sublimation, I want to talk about what sublimation is. And essentially what sublimation does, or how you achieve this, is it involves a sublimation printer that prints a special ink. They are a dye particle base, okay, and it goes onto a sublimation paper. And what you do is you take that transfer that's on the sublimation, like I have one hanging right here, and then you, with a heat press, you take that to a heat press, and you press everything around 400 degrees for a minute. And then what happens is that ink turns into a gas and dyes the surface of the substrate. So if it's fabric, it dyes the fabric of the substrate. If it's a hard surface product, again, you have to have a poly coating for sublimation. So everything has to have polyester fabric or a poly coating. Not just any off-the-shelf item at your local Walmart's going to work. You want to come to a company like Johnson Plastics Plus on our website and get all those sublimation blanks. So again, the hard surface items, the pores open up, it takes in that polyester, or the ink, and it dyes the surface of it. So it's a very vibrant, very high quality, very durable process. And there is hundreds and hundreds of sublimation items that you can decorate with. So we're going to talk about some of that today, okay?
Absolutely. And with the sublimation technology, it is going to be waterproof and vandal-proof as well. So because it's going to be physically embedded, it's not going to be able to be washed out as if something were on the surface of a garment. So great technology, and we love to use it.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what do you need for sublimation, okay? So one, you need a PC, okay? You're going to need a Windows-based computer. On the larger format, those are all going to run a RIP software, so you're going to require a PC. On the smaller format, like the desktop models like the Sawgrass and the Epson F570, if you're not using the RIP, you can use a Mac-based product. You can still do all your design in a Mac-based computer, and then as long as you have a PC that's running the RIP software, you can do that. You're going to need a sublimation printer, which as you see in there in the middle, that is the Epson F6370, the one I have behind me. And you're going to need sublimation paper, whether that's cut sheets depending on the size, or it's a roll. This printer takes a 24-inch or a 44-inch roll by at least 300 feet. So you can do a lot of production on this, okay? There's actually two models of this, and I'll get into that in the full lineup of the Epson sublimation line. You also are going to need a heat press. Now, I have here pictured the Maxi Press by Geonite. That would be a 32 by 44, I believe the size is, manual press, and they also make that in an air press. Those larger presses are going to be able to do those items like we're talking about here is all over sublimation, okay? So those larger presses are going to do your larger photo panels. We've got one over here that's right by Carly will show you, and mats, blankets, all that stuff. Now at minimum, you would probably want a 16 by 20 at smallest. Ideally, when you're going to this larger format, you're going to at least want a 20 by 20 or 20 by 25, or the Geonite DK32, which is a 26 by 32 air press. We'll go over all that, but again, larger the press is going to fit and maximize the output size of your printer. Okay. And we're getting click happy. It's okay. So Carly, why don't you talk with us a little bit here? We'll jump into some substrates here. Let's just talk about one of the things you're going to see there. We'll start with apparel. And one of the reasons, or what Carly and I are seeing, I'm going to preface this, is a lot of folks out there, the most popular printer right now is the Epson F570. Some of you may have that. We are selling a ton of upgrades, 6370, for customers who are doing apparel on the F570, and they're piecing it together. That is a 24-inch wide. Now you're not getting a full 24-inch printer. You're getting like 23 and a quarter or so print on there. So there's going to be limits of the size all over sublimation that you can do. With this printer, you're going to be able to get into those 2, 3, and 4XL shirts, and that's really what makes the difference. It's going to really help you. Probably even it's difficult to do a large T-shirt on a F570. So Carly, talk to us about what you got there.
Yeah, so this year is going to be a cut to sew shirt, a garment that we had done. So what happens is because it's a cut to sew.
I know, so
I can't even say
it's a tongue twister.
I can't even say it. So this provides the all over look for sublimation.
Now the difference between this and all over sublimation is a shirt that's already finished. So I have a white vapor tee over here that's already sewn together. You can do a full design like you see here, but you're going to have seams where you're not going to be able to get that sublimation. Typically, it's under the arms and down the side, okay? Cut and sew, where we would literally be taking each part of this, like the front and then a back and the arms. And you would print that out in pieces on here. You would cut it, or you would run it through a roll press technically. You probably wouldn't cut it out at that point. You would run it through a roll press or a large format press. Once it's pressed to your fabric, you would probably be doing fabric on like a 64-inch. And then once that fabric is sublimated and ran through a roll press, you would then cut that out and sew it together. So same concept, it's just you're gonna finish the shirt because this has no seams, okay? That has no seams. So sports jerseys, this is like a motocross style thing, but anything like in that area that you would want, you can cut and sew, okay?
Yep, so it's purchased fabric and then you would cut to sew.
If you're doing a lot of cut and sew, most of the time you're probably gonna move to a 64-inch because rolls of fabric usually come in a 64-inch. So you would want your transfer size of your paper to match that roll so you're utilizing it and not having any waste. If you're doing all over sublimation like Carly has here, an already put together white shirt, you're going to take this and you put your design and you could have it cover side to side, front and back. And again, you just have some seams, but that would give you that ability.
Have the seams right in here.
Yep.
This is the hardest part to get. So no matter what, you're always going to have those seams right there.
George, question?
That was white.
Yeah, question, Carly, do we have the shirts available at jpplus.com? And the answer is?
Yes, we absolutely do. So this is a Vapor Apparel t-shirt, and then we also have the fabric too by the roll of the Vapor Apparel.
And Vapor's a great product for sublimation. They designed their product. Yeah, it is going to be very nice wearing shirt, okay?
Yes.
If you've not ordered one of those or tried one, order one just to see what it's like to sub on it. It's a premium quality fabric that's designed to take sublimation inks well. So you can try a lot of different shirts, but just because it has some poly, and keep in mind, when you do 100% poly like that, let's talk about that real quick. 100% poly is going to give you the most ink absorption. So if you're using blend shirts, which is great, you can do that. Like Next Level, Bella Canvas, they have shirts out there that are cotton poly blend. But if it's like 60-40 poly, so 60 or poly 40 cotton, only 60% of your ink is going to dye that fabric. So you're going to lose 40% of your ink. So, which is fine, but keep in mind your design, okay? You can't look at an all white shirt and say, I want that same vibrancy on a blend. So keep in mind, it look good vintage, things like that. And again, sublimation has no white. So you're going to want white and light colored shirts to be able to achieve real vibrant colors on your shirts, okay? So as you can see, this has a very, very vibrant orange, okay? That is all white. Okay, that's to start with, all right? Okay, so we've got that. Let me just actually go down here to the bottom while we're talking about it. I just wanted to give you guys examples so you could put numbers to the potential profit with this. So let's say you're dabbling in shirts and you want to get into those larger formats all over. Let's talk about socks. We've got retail costs there. Now, these are just examples. I hear it all the time. Well, I couldn't get that much in my area. You may have to adjust that a little bit, but there's some things you might be able to charge a little more for. So when you're looking at this, a long sleeve shirt, you've got $30 retail, $8.33 in cost, looking at over $20 in gross profit, a couple cents in ink and paper. So really, most of your cost is going to be tied up in your cost of your shirt and your labor, but you've got good gross profit there, okay?
Absolutely. And I can't believe how popular socks are, to be honest with you.
They are.
It's so surprising to me, especially with soccer teams.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much that you can do with custom socks. I mean, you could probably open just a website that sells custom socks. I mean, there's so much that you can do with that kind of stuff. So you've got all over long sleeve or things like that, all over socks, cycling jerseys, really anything apparel that you can do sublimation wise, you can get into that. And you can see you can make great money with that. Sometimes sublimations can be overlooked with apparel. And again, if someone wants a dark cotton shirt, you know, there's only so much you can do, but there's a whole other marketplace where you can sell sublimatable items too, okay? So keep that in mind.
Absolutely. And uniforms, I think, are the largest selling that I see.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions, George?
Yeah, we did have a question. Cost for the ink and the paper on the jersey, I was scrolling out some notes here, and I think we're about $1.90, $1.95,
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere in that ballpark.
it's not going to be super expensive. I mean, something like this, your ink and paper
So we
costs.
actually have it right down there.
Oh, we do, yes. We do have it all over there, so it's on the spreadsheet. But your cost is going to be more tied up in your fabric and your labor than it is going to be on your paper and ink cost. Not saying you don't want to track that. Of course you do.
Absolutely.
But that's not going to be the biggest part of your cost. So remember, your ink is pennies, your paper's pennies, and you're going to be good there. Very low cost, very high margin, and that's on any sublimation item.
Yep. And the great option with Ripsoft, I was just going to say, is that it has a cost calculator built directly into it. So you know exactly what you're producing and how much that costs for paper and ink both. So that's awesome.
So you mean I just did all this math?
You just did all that work. I did it for you earlier.
You guys know George, he is an overachiever from our video, so he is always making sure we've got all the right.
Do you want to do the demo on the apparel?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's do that. Carly's going to do a demo right here. I want to jump in just to show you how easy it is to do a demo. So I'm going to let Carly take that over.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I'm going to be using the 16x20 DK20S Geonite heat press. I've got it set at 390 and for 40 seconds. And I do have the Vapor Apparel kit down at the bottom here. This is going to help with those press lines that typically would happen if you do not have it, because you're at such a high temp. We want to make sure that we avoid that. So I've got the Vapor Apparel down at the bottom, Teflon sheet over top, and the garment is going to go right over top of that. And then I'm actually going to do a quick lint roll of it. Because if I had lint on my shirt, that ink would not embed in that area, and that's never good. Steve, I figured you'd be my Vanna or something.
Yeah, I'm here for whatever support you need.
I'm gonna go ahead and place the image face down. And I want to make sure my foam pad is a little bit smaller than the actual transfer paper itself, but yet larger than the artwork. So it gets a little confusing there. And then I'm going to cover it with a blowout sheet to absorb any extra ink that may be omitted. And then I'm actually not going to tape this down. I'm going to get risky here.
That's how good Carly's sublimation skills are.
Oh, don't do that. I'm going to press it down. I have it to light, very light to medium pressure for about 40 seconds. Quick, super simple, super easy process. Sorry, I keep going out of frame over here. What you got for me, George?
Hey, quick question. What was the temperature on the heat press there?
390.
Thank you.
Yep, anywhere from 380 to 390 is pretty typical for any garments that you're going to do, and anywhere from 30 to 40 seconds just depending on, but we do have those great tech tips on our website. So if you go to the page of the item that you're trying to press, you're able to check those out under the download section.
And while that's going, we've got about 3 seconds here. I want to talk about paper real quick. What we're using is a multi-purpose paper, which you can use for soft and hard goods. They do have a tacky paper available. And what is a tacky paper? Tacky paper heats up. As the press heats up, the paper has a tackiness to it and it'll tack to the fabric. So that way you don't have to use any type of heat tape. So if you're doing all soft goods and you're not doing any hard goods, you can go with a tacky paper.
Yeah, and I like the tacky paper.
Yeah,
I mean, it
it's
just
nice.
takes that extra step out of there.
But look at the colors on that. That looks phenomenal.
Hey, and I didn't have any ghosting. It is a little crooked.
Yeah. If
I'll hold
Carly
it
worked
crooked.
in your shop, you may fire her for that, but the colors are great.
There's no ghosting or anything. What happens with ghosting is when the transfer moves and it has a little bit of excess ink there.
Yep, and always make sure, Carly, I think, talked about this, especially sublimation on soft goods and fabric.
Yeah,
Lint
lint
rolling
roll.
it is crucial because you'll get what's called the little blue meanies, which is just the lint fabric that comes up on the shirt, and you'll see that. And then once that's there, there's no one doing that.
Is
So
that the
make sure,
formal name for that, or is that a made
you
up
know,
name?
in all my years of doing this, that's what everybody's calling it. So you don't want those little blue meanies. Okay.
Love it.
Just to reiterate,
Yeah.
that transfer was printed out on the 6370.
Yeah,
Yes,
that
it
was
was.
printed on
I
the
know,
F6370. And if you're interested in one of these printers and you want to see a sample, we can send you a shirt that's finished. And Carly's got the transfer here once it's done. And so we can send you that and get you a shirt sample, okay?
Yep, so what happened is we printed two side by side using the Epson F570. It cuts it after, but we went ahead and cut down the middle of the seam there
Yes.
to
Yep.
make it for the shirt size.
Another question, somebody, and this is, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead on you here, Steve, a little bit probably, but they wanted to know if you could tell a little bit of the differences between, obviously, other than size, the 6370 and the F570, and
Oh,
maybe
that's
talk to
great.
that a little bit.
You know, here's what I want to do. I wanted to start out and show you just a little bit what you could do with soft goods and how easy it is to print and do a press on it and press a shirt. So George, if you want to bring up that slide, the other document I had for you with the Epson, if we've got it open here,
So give me a second.
and then we'll go back to the PowerPoint. We're going to swap around for a minute.
So kill some time.
Yep. So just go ahead and bring that up.
Okay.
Scroll
So
down
what are we
just a bit.
comparing against? The Epson?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the
570
570 and then we're going
6370?
to go into some of the other
Okay.
options available. And then George, if you could move the camera over just a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So let's talk about the F570. So the F570, when looking at, is a great place to start when you're getting into sublimation. The F570 is a game changer in the sublimation marketplace because one, it's a 24-inch width printer. You're going to have, but it can also take 24 and 17-inch rolls. But then it takes cut sheets, so 8.5 by 11, 11 by 17, 8.5 by 14. And so you can still have that ability of using cut sheets. It is super inexpensive to get started in that, $24.95 for the printer. Your ink costs are super low. You buy 148 milliliter bottles at $17.99 a bottle. So there's a lot of versatility with that. But again, as you grow, and we're seeing this a lot of times where folks are getting into the sublimation and they start doing garments, especially all over sublimation, you want to be able to, or you'll quickly realize what the F6370 can bring to you, okay? So the X6370 is going to be your production machine, okay? The F570 is your intro into a commercial grade sublimation printer. That is going to be a great place for you to start. So if you're not sure what your volume is going to be and you're just venturing into this, it's a very low risk based upon cost and high reward because there's so much that you can do with that on the larger sizes. But what you get into is, I think this size of this panel, like, just let me give you an example. I've got my handy cheat sheet here, or I did have, what is the size on this? I think it's 30 by, I had that sheet pulled, 20 by 30. What size is this panel here? I've got this here.
30 by 40.
30 by 40. You're not going to achieve, I don't know, I can't see myself right now, so hopefully everybody can see how big this is. And we'll show this again. So this is something you're not going to be able to achieve on the F570, okay? So this is on a Chromolux 30 by 40 glossy metal panel. There is so much opportunity from this, from photography to signage. And
We'll
these
actually go into
things,
this.
yeah, and we will.
Hear
So
this in a little bit.
that's one of the things I want to show you when you go difference to print size, what you're able to achieve, okay? So let's jump up to the F6370 and talk about some basic specs on this. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a 44-inch format, wide format, okay? This is going to take a bigger roll. So on your, compared to your F570, which is a 100-foot roll, this is going to be able to do at least a 300-foot roll. So from a production standpoint, you're going to be able to do much longer runs. You're also, your ink tank system here, like the F570 is a bulk, but this takes 1 liter bags versus where the F570 has 148 milliliter bottles, if I talk. So again, you're going to be able to fit a lot more ink into this, and again, at lower operating costs too. This can also take a 24-inch roll. You get one 24-inch roll with this printer when you get it out of the box, okay? No cut sheets, so this is just going to be strictly roll fed, okay? Now the F6370 comes in 2 editions, okay? The F63 Standard and then the F6370 Professional Edition, which has a take-up reel. So if you're doing longer runs and you're going to run that whole roll at one time, you would want the take-up reel because you can feed that in and mounts down at the bottom, and then you can feed that in so that as you print, it's just rolling up your transfer as you go, so it's just not cutting. So right now we printed this just a few minutes ago and we left it here, so we've got it set not to cut because we wanted to show you. But normally what this would do, if you have it set that way, is it would cut this print job off when it's done. So with the take-up reel, it just rolls it back onto roll. So if you're going to be going to calendar press or roll fed press, you may want that to be on a take-up reel, okay? So again, 44-inch. Yes, George.
Steve, question. Somebody wanted to know about daily or weekly or monthly maintenance on this printer. What do you have to do to keep it in tip-top shape?
Yeah, absolutely. With these printers, you're going to want to schedule maintenance on this where it's going to do cleanings and things like this. You want to keep it on. You're going to want to make sure you've got your maintenance set up on it and nozzle checks and head cleanings and so forth, okay? There's going to be certain things that you want to do, like for example, once a week you come over here and you're going to prime the black ink 15 times with this to keep it moving. You know, one thing with sublimation ink too, over a period of time, that's why they put expiration dates on it, is it can actually grow algae, okay? So that just keeps the ink moving in there particularly. So again, you're going to have maintenance, and what we do with all the printers that we sell here at Johnson Plastics Plus is we're going to help install and train you on this, okay? We're doing that all remotely now, so that we can help you get set up on this, train you on the Epson Edge Rip, walk you through that, but then one of our techs is going to also talk to you about proper maintenance and things that you're going to need to do, and plus that's all referenced in the information that Epson gives you in your manuals and so forth that everybody likes to read. So, okay. Just real quick, I want to cover on this. We do carry the 64-inch die sublimation in the Epson. So if you're looking for some real production and you're going to want to go into a larger machine, and you can see here your speed on it, the different options that you have available by your foot per hour. Now those again are based on a lower resolution. So again, if you're doing high resolution output or just on a standard, that gives you an idea on each of those printers what your hourly output or how many square feet an hour that these printers are going to print. You also have on that last end there, the 9370 is a 8-color system dual print head, okay? So that's going to give you some real production capability there, and you can see how much faster that is. It's twice as fast because it has 2 print heads, okay? So keep that in mind. George, if you want to scroll down just a little bit more. Again, there is the F6370 Standard Edition, which I have shown here. We have this in stock and ready to ship. These are very hard to find, any of the Epson printers, honestly. We have the Epson F570 in stock and ready to ship. We have the F6370 ready to stock to ship. The production edition has a lead time, so keep that in mind. If you're in a pinch and need to get going on something, you may be better to go with the standard edition, which I've had several customers do, and then add on the take-up reel if you really feel it's necessary versus waiting for the production. It could be 4 to 8 weeks on a production model to get that in stock. And again, everybody says, well, it's a price. Right now, MSRP is $84.95, but we always have the most up-to-date price on Johnson's Plastics Plus or jpplus.com on our website, and we can provide you a quote with that. Okay. George, if you could, just go ahead and pop back over to my PowerPoint if you still have that open.
Give me a second here. We'll do a little jockeying around.
No problem.
Get to fill some time. Can you do a soft shoe, little dance?
I forgot my juggling stuff. Okay, so we were on the hard goods. So again, just talking about other opportunities with this. So don't overlook everything else. I know I've been really hammering on apparel here to start out with, because right now that's where a lot of inquiries are coming on that. But let's not forget about production on larger items. So again, if you're doing production on this, one of the things that with this that's real nice is that when you get the RIP software, you can actually have it set up where it lays out a screen just with the width of your paper, and you can drop different images on there. So if you're doing different things, the tools that you get with a RIP software compared to what you have with like an entry-level desktop printer like the Sawgrass SG-1000, when you step up into a production model, the additional tools that come with it make it really easy for you to do things like, hey, I gotta do a photo panel, one of the metal panels, or I'm gonna do some, 15 mugs, and you can lay that all out within the RIP software. So again, huge profit potentials on hard surface. Again, we talked about these metal photo panels. So again, just on our example there, we've got a 20 by 30 Chromolux panel. This is a 30 by 40. You can make such good money on these metal panels. It is definitely a huge opportunity working with local photographer. Maybe your main niche is apparel, but you're just looking at ways to expand your business. There's a lot of different things that you can do with these type of things, okay? And we sell these Chromolux panels in all different sizes, up to 4 foot by 8 foot sheets. So just depending on what you need, okay? We've got it. George, go ahead.
Steve, I've got a question for our friend Carly there. Carly, when you were showing the shirts earlier, you showed a long sleeve and a short sleeve. Do those come, and obviously they come in different sizes, but do they also come in youth sizes and toddler sizes?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody wanted to know what kind of variations we have on our site.
Yeah, great question. So this one is, again, just the roll of fabric that was cut to sewn. But we do have the long sleeve in youth and adult sizes, and I believe we have infant sizes as well, going from long sleeve to short sleeve, both a performance. This one is more of a cotton-like feel to it, which is super unique because I love vapor. So this one's a little bit different here with the texture of the shirt.
Yeah, keep in mind, folks, this isn't your grandpa's polyester, from the 70s.
Yeah.
And
this
so,
feels really, really nice because I hate polyester. I do, and it's hard.
Yeah.
So this would be a great.
Those
great
are
option.
super nice, very breathable shirt. They feel great.
Yep.
And they're great. You can do the all over sublimation. You can do just large designs like Carly has.
Yep.
And you can get those in a variety of different colors too.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next slide, George.
Yeah, sure. Okay. My mouse went dead. There it is.
All right, so let's talk about some home decor things. Carly, you want to show some of those examples that we've got?
I would love to. So I'm going to pop in frame here in just a second, but my favorite is this welcome mat. And Steve, I'll have you hold the other side because it's large.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a 24 by 36. So this is huge. I absolutely love this, and I think this is super neat. And a little bit of a tip, if you don't have a maxi press or a larger format heat press, we actually built in the design here these white lines. So what we did is we actually pressed this side separately than this side. So we were able to still achieve that full bleed overall look with a small format heat press, which I think is awesome. How about this one, Steve? You like this one, didn't you?
Yeah, this is our, what do we call this? The Town Terry.
This is a Sherpa.
Yes, thank you. Here,
Yep.
It's really soft.
We'll
So,
turn it around and just, go
Okay.
ahead.
all right, which
Flip
one?
side down.
Oh.
That's what I'm trying to do. Not backwards, so flip it around.
So
and down.
this has a
Hold on.
super.
The shirt is
Here,
really
let's go up. So this is very soft. You can see it's very fuzzy. I mean, this is an
Very
awesome
fuzzy.
baby blanket. I mean, it's really nice. So let's go ahead and turn this around. So what we did here is we sublimated this, okay? So you can see, now again, this is achievable where if you have a smaller format heat press,
Yep.
we've done this in two sides because
this
we've
side.
created that space for our design. We press one side, we can press the other side, okay? So many of you have seen there's ways to get around that, but it does make your life easier if it's within your budget to get one of those wide format presses. But this is sublimatable on the white side. You're not going to sublimate this side. It would look weird.
It would not adhere.
Yeah,
It would
so-
not embed.
This is the side you're going to want to sublimate, Okay, so this is super soft. I love this. So this is available on jpplus.com.
And those are so popular. I
Yep.
see them everywhere. So
Another thing
Great
too,
gift.
pillowcases is also huge.
Yep.
That's another thing that you can do with sublimation and just customize it. Really neat idea. Carly has another item there. That is, it's right. We've got so many items to show you today. I'm terrible at remembering all those. So we've got that here. Yes, that is, yeah, we got it on here, but this is, we got this,
Towel?
the towel here. Yep. Good size towel.
Yep.
Okay, jpplus.com, that's available. Contact customer service or your sales rep to help you find this. Whole item sublimatable, okay? So this is a really nice towel. You can sublimate both sides. Great option, okay? Okay, George, you want to hit that again for me?
Yeah, got it right here, Steve.
If we've got any other questions too, we can take those.
Somebody did have a question on shipping, and we do have the 149 free shipping, and that does include the Chromolux panels. Those are
Yes, yep.
available, so if you order on, that's for web orders only on jpplus.com. Certain restrictions do apply, but visit jpplus.com/free shipping for more details.
And we'll answer all those questions. So here again, I jumped ahead. I'm all over the place today because I get excited and I'm like a squirrel. I start thinking of one thing and I just want to get it out before I forget it. Back to metal photo panels. Again, so much opportunity with that. I just have an example of a retail cost for selling that size, okay? What your cost is, what your gross profit is, what your cost is on ink. Very minimal ink and paper cost and very high margins on sublimation. So it's a great home decor piece. It's a good office piece. You know, you can really do a lot of customization with this, and we can help you with the panels, the standoffs, everything that you need for those type of things. So if you're, hey, how can I get into this? There is a huge marketplace for interior decor, especially if you're a photographer and you live in an area where you're taking a lot of outdoor photos or scenic photos and things like that, or pairing with that person that's doing that, that you can then turn around and customize these pieces and sell them. So huge opportunities there.
in production time, I mean, the photo panels literally take what, 45 seconds
Yeah,
plus to a minute?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be
Super
very
quick.
quick. Yeah, go ahead, George.
Carly, question on the photo panel, can those be used outdoors?
Yes, they absolutely can. And we have a couple different options online. So we have the Chromolux panels and we do also have the exterior panels too. The larger ones are going to be the exterior panels.
Yep, and the exterior panels come with a minimum 3 to 5 year guarantee because they have a UV coating on them, so they are going to be more graffiti proof, scratch proof, sun proof, weatherproof. So those items like that, you know, it's a great option for that. Okay, you don't have to laminate, you don't have to worry about off gassing, you don't have to worry about like all those other things. You can literally just print and press and it's done and ready to go.
I love
Okay.
that quick process. That quick turnaround is so awesome.
Yeah, production time is not very long. All right, George, you want to go to the next slide? Nope, we're going backwards. Again, here's just a lineup of the Epson commercial production sublimation printers. Excuse me. F570, if you're looking to getting into sublimation, again, today's webinar is not about the F570, but it is the printer everybody is asking about.
Yep.
It is in stock, ready to ship. It's a great place to start. If you're new to sublimation, $26.95. It's actually on our price on our website. It's $24.95. Free shipping on that printer. We'll help you set it up, teach you how to use it. You're going to be able to make your money back on that in no time. Those customers that have been there using the F570 are upgrading so fast to the F6370.
I would say about 40% of my customers, probably within the last 6 months, have decided to move forward with a 44-inch due to the production needs.
Sublimation is huge right now. So if you're getting into like you're dabbling in sublimation or you're doing some other type of technologies and you're looking, there is the growth in the sublimation marketplace is huge. There is never a better time to get involved in it. There's so many things that you can do with it. In any marketplace, you can customize these items because they're blank. So it's all what you put on it, whether it's for a school, a church, a business, it doesn't matter. You can customize those items and make it for that marketplace. Pets, you know, the list goes on and on. So you're only limited to your creativity and how much and where you want to go find those opportunities at. So again, we go from the F570, F6370 to 7200, 64-inch. Then we get into the 4-color 64 with the dual head 8-color system. And then Epson's newest, which is the fluorescence, they have a fluorescent option with a 6-color CMYK, fluorescent yellow, fluorescent pink. So depending on what you're after, they're very specialized there, very niche, but that's out there now, the 9470H. So the full lineup there, we have those. All right, George, next slide. Let's talk about something here, because some people say, well, what is my size of my print width, and what am I able to do with this, that, and the other thing? This just gives you an idea of what you're able to do. So from an 8.5 by 11 to a 24-inch, these are the applications you're going to be able to do: personalized products, promotional items, apparel decoration. Like Carly had showed you with that shirt, you're still going to be able to do large designs from F570. Drinkware, plaques, phone cases, all those items. When you get into the 44-inch, you know, there you go to produce from just a single if you want to doing a lot at one time and a lot of multiple things.
I feel like it just really opens things up.
Yep.
In a whole different level.
It does. So you're going to have all the stuff from the 8 to the 24 on the other column. Plus you're going to have all over decoration, sports stuff, jerseys, other type of apparel pieces if you're doing cut and sew. The large photo panel that I showed you there, that's not something you're going to produce on the 24-inch printer. You can also do signage, like the flag signage. You can do that, like the pop-up signage. Am I calling that?
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Towels, towels and pillows and so forth. Okay. And then Carly, you want to go over the 64-inch?
Yeah, so the 64-inch, you're going to get into those larger blankets, the larger fashion apparel. You can do the bulk fabric by the roll, since it's the 64 inches there. You can do upholstery even. So I've actually heard of folks doing curtains before. So curtains are definitely an option, which are pretty unique. And I mean, curtains
That's a
are
great idea.
really expensive. So it's an awesome option. The larger photo panels and
Yeah, so it gives you options. So just depending on what you're wanting to do within your business, you're really going to want to plan out what size machine and what's going to best suit your needs. Now, there's ways that, on the smaller ones, we see them on YouTube video, that you can piece these together. But if you really get into it, where your volume starts dictating that, there comes a point where doing things the hard way is actually limiting you, and you're not making as much money versus making the investment into the next printer and really getting the tools necessary to do that. We talked about heat presses too, and I think this is probably a good spot for me to cover this. There's different options available, and I talked about a minimum of 1620 by the Geonite would be, smallest you want to go, but matching the right press and a good quality press. I get the calls all the time. Listen, you can go out and get just about any press from China, and sometimes if that's what your budget needs to do, it does. But you're going to find, and I see it all the time, that is not going to be your long-term solution. Uneven heat, support. If you got to talk to somebody, you're on WhatsApp app, and you're talking to someone in China in the middle of the night if you need help. Listen, I understand when you go to buy a heat press, an American-made heat press, it's a significant investment, but quality, you're not taking a step back on quality. Geonite's line of maxi presses, from the manual to the air assisted up to the big Triton presses, you're not going to find a better quality heat press in large format than those. Geonite's been in business for a long time. They have lifetime guarantees on the heat plat and lifetime technical support. We've been a dealer of Geonite's for probably close to 20 years, and it's a great product, and it's a great option to start with. So 16 by 20 at the smallest on a F570, 20 by 25 if you're going up into the hard substrates for a 44-inch and you're doing larger things. And then also they have the DK32AP. That printer is a 26 by 32 sub 10,000 format, sub 10,000 price range on a large format press that is air operated. We use that in our fabrication. It is an amazing press. It's a workhorse. They released that about 2 years ago, and it's been really popular. And then you move up into the maxi presses from Geonite. And those are great options there, manual and air assisted. So let us help you find the right press on the Geonite line. We also carry the stalls on the 16 by 20, and then the Geonite, we also carry the Insta presses, 16 by 20 and 20 by 25. So lots of options there for you to use. So that's one of the things I wanted to cover.
something to note real quick. We actually have the 16 by 20 Geonite DK20S and the Fusion IQ both in stock.
Yeah.
So right now, I know the other vendors are probably about 6 to 8 weeks out and up to 10 weeks. So if that's something you're interested in, let us know. We definitely have those available and a decent inventory of them as well.
Yes, while you're seeing a lot of folks out of stock on stuff. We haven't stocked because we placed large orders at the beginning of the year because we could foresee just from what COVID did. You had to really plan ahead and maybe get a little gutsy on some stuff, but where we have product in stock and ready to go on those printers, now they're selling fast. If you hesitate, and that goes for blanks too, as you're starting to see, if you are needing stuff for the holidays, you're going to want to get that stuff now. So plan ahead for equipment. So we've got them in stock right now. Don't miss out in getting those and making sure you're set up for success right away and you don't have things on back order. So we've got them ready to go. One of the things I mentioned here, I'm going to jump into the RIP software. So as you've probably heard that term if you're starting to learn about wide format or you're using the Epson F570, the Epson Edge RIP software. That's something that's really going to help you and take it to the next level. Makes your production so much easier, has the color profiles built into it. So it's got a complete layout print manager in there. As far as workflow goes, that makes things so easy. You can drop one image in, you can change how it sits on the paper. You can say, I need 100 of these and it'll lay it out perfectly for you. You can adjust your input color, your output color, you can change profiles. There's so many tools within that RIP software that can really ensure that you're getting the best color output possible and can really make a difference. So that comes standard with this. Now, the Epson printers are an open architect especially on the F6370. It will work with Wasatch. It will work with other RIPs that are out there that they have profiles for. You don't have to use the Epson Edge RIP if you don't want to. So if you're running Wasatch today in your business and you want to run and for sublimation and you want to run Wasatch or something like that, you can do that. So no problem there, okay? So there are profiles out there in open architecture for other RIPs. Again, it's going to have the Adobe print engines in it, all those needed things so that you're getting good color representation and output from the printer. It has a lot of tools in there that will spot color matching, custom color libraries. You know, the thing with sublimation you have to understand is, you know, color and reproduction of color, and some of that is really going to make a difference when you get into your RIP software and make your life a lot easier to have the right types of tools. Okay, so I'm not going to go too much into the RIP today. We'll help you with that when you purchase the printer and get you up and running. Our team of experts are really good at that. So, okay. Next, we're going to talk about service and support. That is crucial because you can buy a printer from anywhere. Okay, and one thing to focus on here is Epson, but let's also reiterate what JPP's, Johnson Plastics Plus's support is. So through the life of your printer, we're going to offer you free installation support as far as remote. We're going to help remote in, help you set up the software. We're going to teach you how to use it. You can call us as many times as you need for questions, and we're available. On top of that, Epson is going to have on-site support. It is a beautiful thing. So if we can't help you and we direct you to Epson and they determine they need to come out, they're going to come out, okay? That's a year standard. You get 90 days, register your printer, you get a year. You can go up to 5 years, I believe, on the warranty with Epson, and that covers the print head too. Remember, that covers the print head. If you're using Epson ink, and honestly, I know I get a lot of questions. Can I use someone else's ink in there? Sure, you could, but why would you want to? This ink is very affordable. It has been matched with this printer. You're going to get the best output with this. It's not going to void your warranty on the ink delivery system or anything like that. So I always recommend using the manufacturer's ink on that. Trust me, I've seen it all over. When you don't, it can be a disaster and you're not sure where the hangup is. Okay, so everything's covered by Epson. They offer technical support, break fix support. And again, warranty coverage is on the print head and the ink delivery system. You have that as long as you're using Epson genuine ink is the best way to go about it, okay? So that's just a little blurb there. Okay, Carly, all right, so I've covered a lot today. I've thrown so much at you. If anybody's got any other questions, please fire away and ask that so we can go over that with you. Call Carly or I, we're your two equipment sales reps. We're specialized in these products. We can help determine what printer you need, what makes sense for where you're at, okay? We can go over that with you. Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. I think that was great.
You want to talk about JP Bucks?
Yep. I'm gonna talk about JPP Bucks here. So with your qualifying purchase of equipment, so this equipment back here, the Epson F6370, you would actually get $200 worth of JPP Bucks. So what that is after your equipment ships, you'll actually be eligible to enroll in the rewards program where your JPP bucks will then populate. And then you can use that on the website towards additional substrates or paper or anything like that that you may need for your new printer. So it's a great option. It's 200 free bucks to go spend on some substrates. So I think it's great.
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Flip to the next slide, George.
Keep going backwards, George.
Yeah, I do.
It's all right.
Also, I will say with
Social
equipment,
media. Okay.
yeah,
No, okay.
with equipment, sorry about that. With equipment, I just wanted to know, it does not qualify for that 149 free shipping. So just any questions with that, please let us know. We'd be happy to help with that.
On the printers, the only one that ships for free is the Epson F570.
Yep,
Okay.
the 570 and then the smaller SG 500 and 1000 will as
That's
well.
correct. Okay, and for those of you with social media, we got to plug this. We have a
Have
great
to.
team that
Yes.
focuses on our social media. We reach out to so many of you that way, and you reach out to us that way. So of course, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok. If you're not following us on TikTok, you got to follow us on TikTok. We are live on TikTok right now
I think you're going to
with
do
our
a plug.
millions of followers on TikTok. So hey, follow us on TikTok. You'll find us there. Fun videos.
Yes, fun how-to video.
Yeah. So
I'm sure
make
Steve will
sure
make a couple appearances here soon too.
my
So
TikTok debut is coming soon. So follow us on our social medias. You can always reach us there too if you want. We're glad to talk with you any way we can. So again, everybody, thank you for your time. Again, reach out to Carly or I for any questions. And again, thanks for your time today.
Yeah,
Have
thanks,
a great
guys.
Tuesday.